Amigurumi are becoming popular projects thanks to their adorable designs. And in my experience, they are fun to make, appealing to watch, and a great gift idea for friends and family. And if you're here, I'm pretty sure that you think the same. But let me be clear, after having created a lot of them and designed a couple myself, I have to say that there are specific skills that you need to know in order to successfully complete your first amigurumi project. Amigurumi are 3D shapes that needs to be constructed in a different way from a flat piece like a scarf or a blanket. And you might be experienced already in these type of projects, but amigurumi are a completely different story. In this video, I will share the most important and basic skills that you need to be fully ready for your first amigurumi project, as well as some of the foundational techniques to make aesthetically pleasing and structurally sound crochet toys, and also some tips and tricks to make the learning process easier and faster. But before we dive into it, let's have a look at one of my recent and unfinished projects. We can already identify a few things. It's done, of course, with yarn, and to make it, you'll be working with your hook. But we also have these eyes, and the body is not empty inside, but it's filled with polyester fiber fill. And these are some of the basic supplies that you need to have ready before you even start any amigurumi project. Imagine you find the perfect design you want to make, and midway through, you realize you missed something. Not only this can get frustrating, but will affect your momentum and just get in the way of you completing your toy. And as different designs might require for additional material, make sure to check these other videos where I share my must-have supplies for amigurumi project. And let's dive into the skills that you need to develop. If you know how to crochet already or are starting out, you have definitely come across the basic crochet stitches. They are the foundational stitches for this craft. The most used ones are generally the single crochet, the half double crochet, and the double crochet. Just in case, I have a video tutorial for each of these stitches, and I'll leave a link in the description below. Anyway, the good news is that amigurumi are made for the majority with just single crochet. In fact, the single crochet creates a dense and tight fabric, which is perfect for amigurumi toys because it allows for a compact structure and no gaps. Therefore, make sure to learn how to make the single crochet stitch because it's the main basic skill that you need to develop into your amigurumi project. Other stitches or a combination of them might still come up in other amigurumi patterns. So practicing all of them is definitely very important. But single crochet will definitely be the most important one for this type of project. And since we're talking about amigurumi, I need to mention the greatest and most controversial discussion in the crochet community: the yarn over versus yarn under. Traditionally, we learn to crochet by yarning over the hook, or at least this is how I learned, meaning that we wrap the yarn over the hook when pulling the yarn through the stitch. In amigurumi, a good technique to try is to yarn under instead. This changes the look of the stitches and creates an even tighter and dense structure. As the name says, with this technique, you will bring the yarn under the hook before pulling it through the stitch. And by following this process, your stitches will look leaner and the body of your toy will be very compact as no holes or stuffing will show through. The typical characteristic of yarn under is that it will have the stitches forming a sort of X shape. This is how you will recognize them. While for yarn over, the stitches will instead look more like a V. If you're interested in know more about the yarn under, I've talked about in this video. So check it out if you want to learn more about this technique. So now that we know which stitches do we need to start our amigurumi, let's see what we need to actually start at all. Very often these projects develop in circular shape. If you look at this example, you realize that it's made by making variations of a ball or a sphere. This means that amigurumi needs to be worked in round rather than rows, which is instead what you would do with flat pieces. And what is the best way to start the projects in the round? Yes, you know it. It's by using the magic ring. I know that some people love the magic ring, some people hate it, so there are alternatives for the magic ring, like the chain 2 method, the chain ring method. But for me, the magic ring is perfect for amigurumi, as it allows not only to start your projects in the rounds, but also to ensure the optimal closure of this ring. In this way, no holes will show on the head of your plushie, and you can get sure it will stay like this over time. And yes, I have a video on how to make the magic ring, so check it out if your team love it. Once the magic ring is out of the way, the next techniques that you need to know is how to work in continuous rounds. You want the texture and the body of your amigurumi to look smooth and similar. And by working in continuous rounds, you'll basically add your stitches in a spiral with no visible start or visible end of your round. Of course, this comes with a little challenge. As your rounds continue seamlessly from one to the other, you need to make sure to mark the beginning of each round to keep track of where you are in the pattern. And stitch markers are just perfect for this job. You can position them to mark the first stitch of each round and never lose track of where to start the new one. And finally, one of the most important techniques to learn is what makes your amigurumi to develop curves, shapes, and body features. By watching this, you should be able to identify some of the basic shapes. For example, this looks like a semicircle. The shape of the head looks like an egg, which I would say is a sphere at the top and it shrinks a bit coming down. The ears have a pointy tip, which resemble a triangle, which then turns into an oval, more or less. All of these are made by increasing and decreasing. You will come across these terms all the time, and you probably know already what I'm talking about. But just as a refresher, an increase means that you're making 2 stitches into 1 stitch, while a decrease means making 1 stitch by joining 2 stitches together. Furthermore, making increases will make your piece to grow larger and wider, while decreasing will actually make it smaller and narrower. If you're following a pattern, it will tell you how often and where you need to increase or decrease in order to obtain the desired shape. But here I want to show you how to make an increase and a decrease, so the next time you come across any of these in a pattern, you know how to make them. To make an increase, simply make 2 single crochet into 1 stitch. So you're going to insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and now you do this again into the same stitch. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull. To make a decrease, you can actually do it in 2 different ways. For the regular decrease, you will insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over or yarn under and pull up a loop. Here you need to stop, and instead of completing your single crochet as usual, you insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Now having 3 loops on your hook, you can now yarn over and pull through all of them. What I will show you now is instead the invisible decrease, which is more recommended for amigurumi because it's going to create a cleaner stitch and will look less bulky than the regular one. For the invisible decrease, you will insert your hook into the front loop of the stitch, this first bar which is closer to you. Don't yarn over, but insert your hook into the next front loop of the next stitch. Now you can yarn over and pull up a loop, and now complete the stitch as usual by yarning over again and pulling through. All of these things will improve your amigurumi skills in no time. By choosing the right materials, mastering the basic stitches, and learning these techniques, you will be ready to tackle any project and create beautiful amigurumi toys. Tell me in the comments if you found this useful and what will be your next amigurumi project. Happy crafting! Ciao!